Canon has two new lenses in their Cine Prime lens set. The originals are 24, 50, and 85. Now there's a 14mm as well as a 135mm. Now, these lenses have a number of features that are in common with the rest of the lens set. They're all Canon mount. They all have the electrical contacts for Canon's data, so they will send their iris and focus information to the camera so that it can compute depth of field and whatever other data you might want to work with. But these are fully manual Cine style lenses. So you have proper gearing on both the iris and focus for a lens controller of whatever type. You also have 300 degrees of rotation, and yes, it does stop on either end. It doesn't just keep spinning, with all of these highly refined marks for your focus, so you really know exactly where you are on the lens. 114mm outer ring, so it'll clip standard matte boxes, which will be able to mount right on there. And another nice feature that I like with all the Canon lenses, so I always like to point it out, is that these rings, the marking rings where all your reference points are set, are at an angle. And so you don't have to be just here to see focus as the assistant. If you're behind the camera as the operator, you can actually see where your marks are, and that's great for handheld run around type work. It's just useful. It's even useful for the AC. He has to move around with the camera. Another way in which these lenses are the same as not just the Canon Cine Primes, but actually all Canon Primes, is that these cover not just Super 35, but the full frame 35 VistaVision 36 by 24mm image area. It's a very large format, much, much larger than just your video film standard theatrical cinema Super 35 image area. And I thought it would be kind of nifty to really see what that looked like. So got the Canon 1DC. This camera can shoot 4K, it can shoot HD in the full frame 35mm image area. It can also shoot really gorgeous stills. But this will allow us to really see what these lenses can do. Now, the first thing you'll notice with the 14mm is that it's a very rectilinear frame. What that means is that the image is not getting all curved, it's not getting all round. The straight lines remain straight. It doesn't distort the frame really radically. And that means that your lens will be able to intercut with other lenses within a scene. In fact, it's not such an effects lens anymore. It's just another tool in your palette that you can just use at any time if you just need a wide angle. In fact, if the camera's static, then you don't really feel that distortion at all. It just is a wide field of view. It's a very effective, useful tool. Now on the 135mm is a classic portraiture lens. This is the lens you use when you want to do the nice close-up of someone's face. And the reason that people like 135mm as a portraiture lens is that in order to get someone's head and shoulders sort of in the frame, you have to back up the camera a good little bit in order to get them in the shot. Well, the natural universe of perspective means that when I am a longer distance away from someone, the relative distance from me or my camera to someone's eyes compared to their nose and compared to the tip of their ears is not that different. And so it sort of compresses those features of someone, as opposed to if you were much closer to someone and then it feels like the nose is sticking out much more and the ears are much further back. Well, some lenses, some designs of lenses, have very flat fields. And what that means is that they can lend a sort of a two-dimensional quality to things. So you don't really feel depth in them. You feel layers of flat fields. And of course, we're talking about shooting in 2D and on a single plane, and so that makes things look very flat. Well, this design, this 135mm, has a bit of curvature of the field, which is, it's a very subtle effect. This is not something you're going to look at an image and go like, oh my goodness, things are, oh, look at what it's done. But the subtle effect of what it does do is magnify the center of the frame a little bit differently than the edges as things go in and out of focus. So you focus on someone's eyes, and then things drift out of focus a little bit as you go forward, and they drift out of focus a little as you go back. What it does is it lends a bit of roundness to someone's head. Faces are what we shoot all the time. That's what we get paid to do, is light and photograph people's faces for the vast majority of the things that we actually photograph. And this, by naturally shaping, giving some roundness to someone's head, you back off a bit, you flatten out, you compress some of those features, and then you bring some roundness back. It makes for a very attractive image. It's something that's fairly subtle, but can really make the difference in making someone look just the way you want them to look, to be good looking on camera, and that's what we all want, isn't it? So anyway, you have a very attractive lens, the Canon 135mm Cinema Prime, and there's the 14mm Cinema Prime, part of the complete Cine Prime lens set from Canon, available at AbelCine.